Hey everyone, thanks again for joining us on It Starts With Plastic Free. I said us, but the stat man is away at the moment doing some research projects and he's going to come back with lots of valuable information. But for today's episode, for something different, we're going to go up in our lab and I'm going to show you how you can work out from a burn test whether there's plastic in a wet wipe. So follow me to the lab, let's go. Hey guys, so as I said, we're going to be up in the lab today and we get lots of questions about how do you know if there's plastic in wipes, and there are scientific labs that do material testing that we utilise here in Australia and in Adelaide. But there's a simple test that we do which always shocks our own staff and customers when we show them the burn test. And I'm going to do the burn test today with 4 different fabrics to show you how you can identify if there's actually a biodegradable compostable product or if there's still plastic in it. So watch this. So I'm not going to name and shame these brands, but this is your typical polyester fabric that is in lots of wipes, and you'll see how this behaves when it's burning, and it melts pretty much like plastic. This is just shriveling up and it will just keep. Got to be careful not burning myself, but the smell is terrible. You can just see how that is just behaving like melted plastic. And you can imagine when this goes in to landfill and the environment, it just stays there. As shriveled, melted plastic. Not really burning in terms of how paper or plant-based material would, but all hard and stiff plastic now that's melted. So here we have a blend of plastic and plant-based viscose, and you'll see how this ignites a little bit differently. It definitely burns. You see the residue at the end, because it's not 100% plant-based matter, how there's still this white plastic. So this is not 100% plant-based material. You can see that the plant-based side of it has burnt and charred, and the plastic residue has remained and is stuck to the stainless steel table. And this one here, I've got one of our CleanLIFE plant-based wipes, and you can see the way that this burns and chars completely. Smells very, very different. There's no plastic smells like having a piece of paper in the barbecue or in the campfire, and totally igniting and charring out. And you can see the residue, how much of that black is charred. Now you can see the natural plant-based material is still burning. So this is still got some life of a flame in there, because obviously there's a burn factor compared to the plastic materials. And finally, our flushable fabric, which is essentially a wood pulp. And you'll see the way that this burns is like no difference in handling a paper towel. Zero plastic, none of that residue smell of burning plastic. Just behaves like normal paper, which is what we're expecting from a flushable material, even though it either flushes or ends up in a green bin, but totally chars out, and that's igniting right through to it burns. So this is the test that we do often when we have clients telling us they've got an existing biodegradable plant-based material, and before we go and get it analysed from material testing labs, we can tell the plastic content that's still in there. As you can see, this is just gone hard and brittle on the ends, like your typical plastic. Not much showing in terms of a charred effect. The blend of plant-based material and plastic, polyester, and how you can see this is the plant-based material and the residue of the plastic that still remains on the surface. This is a plant-based material where just about 95% of it's charred out, and this is our flushable, which you can see is still igniting, as you would expect from a paper-based material. Not that I encourage this to be done at home, obviously, but it's always a test that surprises people when they think they've got a material that is biodegradable or break down. And when you've got plastics in there, this is why it takes so long for plastics to break down in the environment, and it just becomes microplastic and becomes an issue. Whereas when you've got your biodegradable and compostable materials that do break down, you can see from the burn test what they end up being, which is a lot different than plastics. So when looking at your wet wipes next and you're wondering whether they're plastic free or have they got plastic in them, read the information, go onto the rear of the pack, maybe go on the website of the manufacturer or the supplier and check out, is it actually a plant-based material or is it only 50% of a plant-based material? Because if it's only a blend, you'll still have microplastics in that product, but if it's 100% plant-based, it will char out and eventually will break down in the environment, which is what they're designed to do. So guys, I'm back from the lab, safe. I had my safety glasses on and no burns on the fingers. But if you've got any questions about today's episode, please drop them down below, get involved in the conversation. If you've got any doubts, pass them our way, or you've got comments, we'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe, share this and pass it on. And if you like today's episode, give it one of those. Until next time on It Starts with Plastic Free, I'll see you then. Break down in the environment. So guys, I'm back from the lab, safe.